So, this is the new year, and I don't feel any different. For the first episode of the year, Death Cab for Cutie made it really easy for me with their song, The New Year. But unlike they say in the song, I took some resolutions, and so we're gonna talk through them together, and maybe it can give you some inspiration or realize that you also want to do that, or maybe not, and that's also totally okay. So I am not very big on resolutions. I think about some every year, but it's not something that I write down and think I need to complete them all. Do we say complete resolutions? Yeah, anyway. Let's start diving right in with the first one that I already took last year and didn't really keep up with. So let's try again, which is being more vulnerable. Because I know that I will feel better telling people how I feel, opening up myself to them, and then it will also help them opening up to me and just will build more genuine relationships. But it's just very hard for me because sometimes I just feel like it's not interesting for the people. I don't want to feel like I'm complaining all the time. And also sometimes, yeah, I could, but I just don't know what's happening in my mind and how I'm feeling. So this is also very hard. I am very not used to explaining how I feel, and I am thinking about it so much in my head about why I feel this way, how. But in the end, I cannot really put words into it, or it just doesn't feel really relevant. So I'm just like, this is just in my head. Of course, it's in my head, it's my brain, but I just keep it to myself. This year, I was not very vulnerable, and I want to be more vulnerable this year to feel better myself so that people can see maybe the real me and that I can see also who the people are. Because, of course, if you are vulnerable, it's easier for the people in front of you to also be like this and not just have a shallow relationship. And I started a bit with this podcast because I said a lot of things that I've never really said out loud, except to my therapist. And only good things came from it. Some people came to me saying that they feel the same way, and I would never have thought that. So, yeah, there can really only be advantages to it. And it seems easy to just say, yeah, no, today is not my best day. I'm feeling like this because of that, but I'm used to dealing with my problems alone. I'm an only child, so maybe that's the reason I just isolate myself a lot or just shut down when there is something wrong and I know I need to stop that and I am on my way. And let's hope that by the end of 2025, I will feel better about it, even if it's not full oversharing to people. And another resolutions that seems more social is to be more easygoing. I'm not sure if that's the term exactly because I am nice when people come to me, but it is very hard for me to come to people. Sometimes I have questions I want to ask people when we are in a gathering with friends or some people I don't know, but I just don't want to bother them. And I just don't want them to feel like I'm making small talk when actually I want to ask a lot of questions and they are telling me things sometimes and I just thinking maybe if they don't go further, maybe they don't want to talk more about it. So I just nod and say, oh, okay, that's nice. When in the end, I think the amount of interesting, deep, or even just fun conversations I could have had if I just had asked the questions and didn't feel like I'm going to bother them with all my questions. I think this is very specific to me, but it is still very hard for me to be in a large group of people with a lot of people around. I don't want to cut them off when they are talking. So that is also why I don't talk a lot because I'm always waiting for the perfect time. But people are always just talking. That's just normal conversations. And I'm just not good at it. So my resolution is just to be better at it. So that when I turn 32 in October, I actually have good social skills. Then a very basic resolution that a lot of people will take is about sport or fitness, health. And so for me, it's to keep up with CrossFit. I am on a good streak right now to go 3 times a week and exercise and do things that are good for my body. And also, I think that it is good that I am not doing so that I look good. I'm not doing it for the physical, aesthetic part of it, but really CrossFit for me is about performance first, but to the point where I would be so hard on myself and just wouldn't do anything. So now I think I found this good in between from I want to do good performances, but also you just need to have fun doing it. And this is actually how I will get better because I don't want to do any competitions or anything. This is way too late for me for that. There are people that are just way better than me. So now my only competition is myself. And I set myself some numbers for some lift that I want to do. I want to do a squat with this amount of kilos. I want to do this amount of pull ups. But really, this is just an indication and not something that I need to have by the end of the year. And so I guess this is actually not really about keeping up with CrossFit, but just being kinder to myself. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to go or that if I go, it won't be good at all. I've said it in previous episodes. Sometimes I just don't feel well. And some people can perform well from anger and use that energy. But for me, I just really work out very well when I am happy, when I'm feeling good in my head, when there is nothing bothering me, there is nothing I'm thinking about. So now there will be times where I feel like this won't be a good session and I just won't go. And I did that, I think, at the very beginning of the year, maybe for January the 2nd. Oh no, it was between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And I just felt like I was tired because I just came back from France. And, Christmas is a bit hard. So I knew this wouldn't be a good session. And I was just like, cancel it. Don't go. You will go tomorrow. And guess what? The day after was pretty good. So I did well. And before I used to cancel at the really last minute because I was like, no, I cannot cancel. I need to go. And then I would hate myself to not go. When now I'm just, okay, this is not going to be nice. You're not fighting for your life if you don't go. It's just a hobby. It's just supposed to be fun. If you think it's not going to be fun, don't go. So I know there is also this whole thing of motivation. You need to be devoted to it. But sometimes just listen to yourself. I've heard people say the only session you regret is the one you didn't do. No, there are a lot of sessions that I wish I didn't go because I went full mental breakdown during those. And then I just feel like shit for the whole day. When here, for this day, I was like, okay, not my day. Let's just not go. And I chilled. I did what my body told me to do and worked out pretty well for me. So at the same time, I want to be consistent with it, but also be able to listen to myself more. And so now I think it will be easier because every time I will go, it will be because I really want to. And I will use this momentum instead of forcing myself to go and every time just not feeling like it and hating it more every time. But of course, if by the end of the year I get visible abs, that's just a bonus. Hello, this is Julia from editing. So Julia from the future or the present, and the one talking is Julia from the past. Anyway, I recorded this episode just before a CrossFit session that I booked. So I recorded, got ready, and just realized that I left my house as if the class was at 11:30 instead of 12, so I was very early, which is okay, it's not a problem, but it's closed, so I have to wait. I wait 20 minutes, and then I decide to maybe check in which location of the CrossFit gym I go to, because there are 4 locations in Munich, and I go to at least 3 of them. And then I realize I'm not waiting in front of the right location. So I just said I would go more to CrossFit. I'm on a good streak. And then I managed to cancel one of the 3 sessions I have per week. And I know the resolution was more about being kind to myself, but one more resolution that I can add is stop giving myself reason to not be kind to myself and stop being sometimes a bit of an idiot. So yeah, this was just a little story time that was very relevant to what I just said. And now it is back to Julia from the present or from the past, or to recording Julia. Bye! Another resolution is that I want to be more open in terms of music. I'm already very open in terms of music, but I can tend to listen to always the same things. And my Spotify Wrapped really made me realize that. So my goal for the end of the year is that my Spotify Wrapped is a mess. I want all of the genres in it. I want any decades of music. I want everything in it. There is not a single genre that I hate, I think. Like there are some that I like less or don't understand as much, but I'm pretty sure if I get used to it, I can. There are some things that I listen to right now that I wouldn't listen to before. I think a lot of music is also an acquired taste. And if you are just curious, at some point, you can like it. And if you don't like it, at least you tried, and you opened yourself to it and you just got more curious. And there is really nothing to lose with it. And I think this is just great because music is so wide and it's actually pretty interesting that even now we can have new things when music is very, very old. I wanted to say a number, but I have no idea of how many years we are talking about. But still, we hear some new things. There are some new artists, but also we need to know the classics. I take a lot of inspiration from music, from the lyrics, from the music itself. And yeah, I want to broaden my music horizon and I just want to know more about it. So also, if you have any recommendation of any style, any band, any song I should listen to, just let me know because this year, as I said, I want my Spotify algorithm to be a mess. And the last one is to keep up with this podcast. You will still hear a lot from me. And sometimes it's hard to find inspiration or to think, why am I doing that? Because I still think sometimes that this is not very interesting. Like, who would listen to that? And this year, I want to introduce new things and hope I will get to work with people and have new projects and to make it really interesting because doing it from my room, it's nice, it's fun. But at some point, I also run out of things to talk about. I am not a yapper. I don't talk a lot about myself. I talk to myself a lot, so at least here I can do it out loud. But at some point, I just don't have much more to say. And I think it will be really more interesting for me and for the listeners to hear conversations, hear about other people, other horizons, because at some point it's just me and I don't want to do just that. So please stay tuned to hear about some other people that maybe you know, maybe you don't, but they will for sure have something interesting to say. So here we are with my biggest resolutions for the year. And I would also love to hear about yours because maybe this will give me ideas. And the goal is really not just to be better in terms of performance, but just to feel better in my head by the end of the year, to be a better person, not just for the others, but really to myself so that I can enjoy my company a bit more, which is really the goal for 2025. Just be kinder to myself and like myself a little bit more. So yeah, I would love to hear about yours and drop your music recommendations, as I said. I will talk to you again next week for what I hope will be the beginning of a very busy and interesting year for Into the Cave. Meanwhile, be kind to yourself. Bye!